What is up, YouTube? I'm here with Alex Carmenaty for a NFC and AFC prediction video. Absolutely wild that we're already up to the championship games, guys, in 2 weeks from the Super Bowl. But two amazing games between the Ravens Chiefs and the Lions Niners. Let's get right into it, guys. Hope you guys enjoy. So, Alex, we are officially up to the AFC and NFC Championship games. First off, guys, I want to start by apologizing. Last week was a little bit difficult for us. We had some trouble getting stuff started, and then I went to Vegas, and then by the time I got home, the games had already started, and it just made no sense to film last week. So, we're back here for today, the Super Bowl. So, let's get right into it. Let's start with the AFC Championship. Baltimore versus the Chiefs. Who do you got in this one, Alex?
Look, Jason, first off, if Baltimore doesn't win this game on Sunday, it is ultimate proof that the NFL is scripted. And I've been saying this for a long time. I've been saying this for weeks. I've been ranting about this going into this Sunday. The Kansas City Chiefs are just not a good football team right now this season. And all of a sudden, they turn on the Jets. And all of a sudden, Tyler Bass misses this field goal. And the Golden Boy, Patrick Mahomes, in his first ever road playoff game, pulls off a great victory and they beat
Yeah.
Buffalo. And now they got to go to Baltimore, this hostile crowd, and the Ravens are having their best season in God knows how long. And it's their first time they're in the AFC title game since they won the Super Bowl back in 2012, 2013. And now here they come into town. Lamar Jackson's on this MVP quest. The Ravens are this best team in football. The defense is unstoppable. But it's got to be Mahomes and this underdog story that's got to come along here and, change things up and conquer the Ravens.
Yeah.
Look, if the NFL was not scripted, I would say the Baltimore Ravens win this football game. But the problem is that the NFL is
The
like the
refs will get
WWE.
involved. We know the refs will get involved.
Look, I mean, the refs, Roger Goodell, Taylor Swift, Patrick Mahomes' mother, Travis Kelce's mother, the entire city of Kansas City, whoever. This game is not going to go well. And look, you hope Baltimore wins. I want Baltimore to win this game. I don't really care for the Ravens, nor am I that fond of the Ravens.
But they're
But
better than the Chiefs. It's
they
certainly
are a
better.
lot better than the Chiefs, and it's a lot better than having the Chiefs not just win this game, but win the Super Bowl in 2 weeks' time. So, if the NFL was not on the path of WWE, I would say Baltimore is going to win this game. But based off the script alone, and based off the fact that Patrick Mahomes is now turning things around, and this Chiefs defense is unstoppable, and Harrison Butker has the golden leg, Kansas City is going to win this game. How are they going to win this game exactly? I don't know. I think regardless, it's going to be a close matchup. I think you're going to see a back and forth duel with these offenses. You're going to see these defenses really, really stick it to Mahomes and Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
But at the same time, one of two ways is how Kansas City wins this game besides it being scripted. One, Patrick Mahomes has a big game-winning drive against this Ravens defense that's been so good all year. All of a sudden, the Ravens get exposed, and Patrick Mahomes, really beats them at their craft.
Yeah.
It has to happen on this specific moment, on this game-winning drive. The Golden Boy has to go ahead and lead the charge in this specific timing. That's the only way, or one of the only ways, they're going to win this game somehow. Or they're going to have that game-winning drive. They're going to have a big break somehow, and it's going to be a tie ball game, but Harrison Butker is going to come along and kick a game-winning field goal.
Yeah.
One of those two things are going to happen. So as much as I would like Baltimore to win this game, I'm going with Kansas City.
Yeah. Before I get into my opinion on this game, I will sit here and say, as much as I don't like the Bills, I'm not a huge Allen fan. I feel for Allen because he consistently carries his team. There is no reason they should have lost that game last week. He did everything in his power to win that game. Bass missed a kick. There was just a couple really ugly plays from the team in general that were not his fault. It's frustrating. It has to eat you alive every single year that you keep getting to the playoffs and you lose to the same team every single year. And on top of that, a team that look, they started off bad too, the Bills. They did not look good at one point.
Oh,
But
sure.
you lost to a team that really, really struggled. You would have thought, okay, the Chiefs struggled this year. This is their year to finally beat the Chiefs. And the Bills couldn't do it. And
Look, again, the big difference this year, Buffalo not just was the better team because they hosted the game, but Buffalo was actually the better team than Kansas City this season.
yeah,
And if you look at the turnaround, I mean, sure, the Bills had their disaster in the majority of the regular season. But the way they turned it around, what, to win 5 games in a row to win that division, and
yeah,
for Josh Allen to be a different quarterback in the second half of the season compared to the first half of the season,
yeah,
I mean, that was just unbelievable. The difference between that and Kansas City is that Patrick Mahomes had his moments this year, good moments, but Patrick Mahomes had his bad moments as well. And that was consistent. Patrick Mahomes consistently
yeah,
was not either super amazing or absolutely terrible. He
yeah,
was stagnant the entire year. And when he was stagnant the entire year, he was meh.
yeah.
Josh Allen had a back and forth pull. But towards the end of that regular
He was
season,
amazing.
Josh Allen was the best quarterback in the National Football League entering into the postseason.
Yeah,
Call me crazy for saying that. But Josh Allen, in those 5 games in the month of December, in Buffalo's turnaround to win that division and make the postseason, he was the best quarterback in the National Football League. And him single handedly, with his passing yards, with his game winning drives, with his stability, with his rushing. And sure, he still had that turnover issue, but his way this time, how he was able to bounce back
yeah,
after turning the ball over, impressive.
yeah,
Josh Allen was so good that I go as far to say Josh Allen is much better than Patrick Mahomes this year when we look at the entire scale.
yeah,
Absolutely. So that just doesn't happen unless there's a script involved. For Baltimore, you knew they were going to win that game against Houston. Now,
yeah,
you had hope for CJ Stroud and the Texans, and maybe they would make it some type of game, but the Ravens were just too much. And at the
yeah.
end of the day, when you saw them pull ahead, late or, rather early in the third quarter, you
You
knew
knew
it
that
was
was it.
over
Yeah,
because Lamar Jackson was just unbelievable in the air and especially on the ground, showing why he's such a dual threat with his legs. He really was
yeah,
unbelievable. And that Ravens defense shut down Stroud. He had no passing touchdowns, no picks too for CJ
yeah.
Stroud. But at the same time, just the offense was just unable to get it going. So you knew Baltimore was going to win this game. But to have Kansas City in this spot and the Chiefs going into Baltimore and they're the underdogs, I mean, something fishy is going to happen this weekend.
The thing is, it's such a Pat Mahomes script, and it's almost predictable that he had such a horrendous season, and now he pulls through to the AFC Championship. And it's not even because of something he did; it's because of a missed field goal. We didn't even get an opportunity to see could he have actually led them to the win because it would have been a tie game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
we had
look.
no. He didn't
Well,
even have to
again,
do anything. So
if Tyler Bass makes that field goal, that game goes to overtime. And
yeah,
I guarantee you, if if that game goes overtime, there is no way on God's green earth, except for a script, if for that script, there is no way Buffalo loses that game.
no,
I mean, you tie it, you force overtime, and Josh Allen with the hot hand already. Are you kidding me? And not just that. Let's say Kansas City, scored a field goal, whatever. Let's say they scored. This time, Buffalo gets a chance to actually answer back. Don't tell me Buffalo was not going to answer back with a touchdown if KC scored in some fashion. Get
yeah,
the heck out of here. So, look, I mean, it was all in. And you knew when KC pulled ahead, it was fishy. You knew when he missed the field goal, the deal was in. So, look, I mean, again, we can go back and forth on this for hours. And honestly, Jason, it's a good thing we didn't do the video last week because if we did, I would have had a rant about Mahomes and his Chiefs team even further after beating a pathetic Dolphins team. But now that that they beat the pathetic Dolphins and they beat the Bills the way they did, you get two for the price of one with this
yeah,
video.
yeah,
So it's just ridiculous. So
yeah.
look, I mean, again, this craziness is going to continue when the Golden Boy goes back to the biggest game.
Yeah. Look, I'm a Bengals fan, so it means a lot for me to say I'm rooting for the Ravens here.
Yeah, that does say a lot.
I want the Ravens to win and this crap. Yeah, I don't know. It's just frustrating. It really is to see always, and I think actually I'm hearing it from a lot of people because I've grown up a pretty big football community with my streams and everything. A lot of football people are starting to despise Pat Mahomes. They really are. People are really beginning to hate him, and I think it's the golden boy status he has that people are
Well,
hating about him.
yeah. Look. I mean, I honestly, I like Patrick Mahomes. I think he's a great quarterback. I think he's a great face for the league. I think he's super talented. I think, when it comes to, the way he broke into the National Football League and took it over by storm, don't get me wrong. Incredible talent, well deserved his championships. I think the second one he shouldn't have won last year, but I look at the first one and good for him. And even though he lost to Brady, he put up the best fight he could.
I would go
Last
as
year,
fair to say though, Alex, they shouldn't have even made it to the Super Bowl last year. The Bengals
I
got
agree.
screwed. The Bengals got screwed last year.
Well. I mean, again, part of it, Jason, is that yeah, they shouldn't have gotten there, but also the Eagles should have won that game, and the
Yeah.
Eagles were more deserving, well more deserving of winning that football game last year than Kansas City was winning their second title with Mahomes. So look, I don't despise Patrick Mahomes. I honestly don't. The problem I have is how he's been flattered up to be this next big thing in a way where he always has to get the big break.
Yeah.
Look, and say what you want about
And
Brady
what sucks
and
is
all
that,
of that.
what angers people about that is that's not what sports are supposed to be.
Right, right. And look, say what you want about Brady and how he was able to do it. The difference between Brady and Mahomes is that Brady was actually able to take crappy teams and actually turn them around in really intriguing
Yep.
ways. The problem with this team this year for Kansas City is that they were crappy in the regular season, but if you look at this entire, this year, they beat up on a bad Dolphins team that blew it, and they played a game against Buffalo where they weren't really deserving of winning.
Yeah.
The Patriots at least gave you some type of class, or they gave you
Yeah.
some type of style
Yeah.
where Brady took guys off the street and made it intriguing, and he had Gronk consistently. He had Julian Edelman consistently, and this Patriots defense was consistently backing him up.
Yes.
That was the difference. The Patriots had a really, really good, consistent team. And you know what? Let's say, I mean, also the difference, they won their divisions in dominating fashion because
Yeah.
they were actually that good.
And
The
the
Chiefs
Chiefs barely won a bad division.
The Chiefs barely won a bad division, number one. And number two, the Dolphins were pathetic, like I keep saying. And that game last week, Buffalo was the much better team, regardless of how things resulted.
Yeah.
So again, the problem is that the Chiefs aren't the better team in these matchups. The Patriots, in some facts, you can say that. But in many facts, you can say they were the better team
Yeah.
because they had the better quarterback, sure, but they had the better roster, period. And they
Yeah.
were more consistent, period.
Yeah.
Those things played out. That's not the case with this Kansas City team.
No.
I mean, again, say what you want about the horrific receiving core, but at the same time,
Pat
they're
Mahomes
just
is
not
an
a good
issue. Yeah.
team.
Pat Mahomes is an issue himself this year.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes has been so back and forth and inconsistent, especially with the turnovers. And Tom Brady, sure, towards the end of his career, he wasn't that spectacular, especially when they won the last Super Bowl with New England. But Tom Brady throughout that run was on fire. And Tom Brady during that run, sure, in the sixth win, he wasn't the best, but he wasn't horrific.
Yeah.
The other times, he was the guy. He was the cornerstone.
Yeah.
And you don't win these Super Bowls without Tom Brady, the
No.
five of them especially, before the sixth one. Patrick Mahomes, I look at both Super Bowls, and they could have won them without him in the sense that he played all right, but it was the other surrounding pieces
Yep.
that really got
Kelsey
them
and those
over the
guys.
hump.
Yeah.
Kelsey, Damian Williams, Isaiah Pacheco, the defense. Those pieces, really got them to the final
Yeah.
stage. Mahomes played his role, don't get
Yeah.
me wrong, but it was the other surrounding factors that eventually
Yes.
got them the victory. And that was
Yeah.
especially the case last year with Harrison Butker
Yes.
and the special teams and defense. So it's the same thing this year with the special teams and defense carrying the burden, carrying the load. And it puts Mahomes in this light where it's Mahomes doing all the work, whereas the other factors actually getting the job done for him
Yeah.
with the script playing as fact. So look, I mean, again, look, call me crazy, call me ranted, call me biased, call me whatever the heck you want. I don't really care. But at the same time, the NFL is going down this path where you have this just this craving for Patrick Mahomes in the sense that he has to win every single thing. And he
Yeah.
can be he can have a bad game or he cannot be consistent, but he's put in this light where he's the greatest thing ever
Yeah.
and that he could be better than Tom Brady. Give me a break.
Yeah. No, look, here's the thing. You look at what COVID started. The NBA had the play-in tournament. There was a lot of changes to different sport leagues. I think the NFL was hurt the most though of all the sport leagues by COVID because during
Yeah.
COVID, with no fans, they took the opportunity to go down this scripted path. And if I wanted to watch a scripted path, I would watch WWE like I do every single time it's on.
Yeah.
I'm not watching basketball, hockey, baseball, or football to watch a script.
Of course not.
That's
Look,
not.
and look, and look. I mean, again, hopefully I'm proven wrong this weekend. I really hope I'm proven wrong this weekend. But you cannot tell me there's something fishy going on
No.
if
Un-
this year's Kansas City Chiefs team makes the Super Bowl, let alone wins the Super Bowl this season. You can't tell me there's
no.
some cahoots going on. You
No.
cannot tell me that this Kansas City Chiefs team this year was honestly the better team than either Baltimore, than either Detroit, than either San Francisco. You cannot tell me those things. You can't.
Yeah.
And if you do with a straight face and tell me these things, you're an absolute joke.
Yeah. No. Question for you before we move on to the NFC Championship game, because I've heard a lot of people discussing it. There was some recent struggles with him. Do you think Bass should get cut?
No, I don't.
You don't.
Say what you want about Tyler Bass and say what you want about the missed field goal and all this jazz. Tyler Bass is a very, very good kicker. He's a reliable kicker. Now, again, he missed that field goal, and that was terrible, and that was awful. But at the same exact time, no, he's a guy you don't cut. Buffalo should treat him like they treated Scott Anderson. Scott Anderson was the kicker for the Bills when they lost the first Super Bowl to the New York Giants. That was
First of
back in the
many.
90s when,
First of many.
yes, yeah, the first of four straight losses in the big game. Scott Anderson was the kicker for the Bills, and he missed it wide right. Tyler Bass missed it wide right. You know what's so intriguing about Scott Anderson is that after he missed that kick and after the Bills lost that game, the city of Buffalo still threw him a parade, which is really, really
Yeah.
ironic. And of course, this was before the 4 straight years of heartbreak. But
I
they
wonder if
treated
that was the fourth year. Would it have been different if he missed wide right in the fourth
if it
year?
was the fourth year, yeah, sure. But the first year, when he misses it and they lose to the Giants in the Super Bowl, they gave the city, they had a big parade and they forgave Scott Anderson. I think you'll see a similar thing with Tyler Bass here. I really
Yeah.
do because look again, this Buffalo team again divisional round they fall short. Bass misses the field goal, whatever, but he's still their kicker. He is their kicker. And I honestly don't know who they could go after to replace Tyler Bass if they did cut him. I don't
Yeah.
know because he's been such a staple for that special teams
No,
for
you're right.
Buffalo for the past couple of seasons now, postseason wins or not. So, no, he's going nowhere.
No. All right, we move on though to the NFC Championship, a game that I think is going to be a lot of fun. The 49ers versus the Lions. What do you got here? What are you thinking?
Look, I would hope it's a fun game. I like San Francisco. I really do. And despite the fact that the Packers lost, and I'll say this right now, so I save time for this important game. Anders Carlson needs to be cut and exiled to an island with Baker Mayfield so society never sees one or both of them again. That's number one. Number two, I think this will be a very good game. And say what you want about, the Lions coming in and their defense. I've been hearing all week the Lions are going to get clobbered. The Lions aren't going to play a good game. These are the same people that told me Tampa Bay was going to win, or that the Buccaneers defense was so strong that Jared Goff was going to struggle, and this Lions run game would have no strength at all, or no effect in last week's game. They put up 31 points. The run game was incredible. The offense won them that game. Say what you want about the defense for the Lions. Sure, it's been shaky. Aaron Glenn is a very, very shaky defensive coordinator. I mean, honestly, he's so shaky. I wouldn't let him hold my 6-month-old cousin. That's how shaky he really is.
One thing
But the
I will
point
say
is,
before you get back into this, though, Alex, and obviously I know Joe Barry got fired, but
thank God.
the 49ers struggled against a Joe Barry-led defense. I don't really know how much faith I have in them right now
Well,
against
look,
the Lions
look.
team.
Well, look. The difference between Joe Barry's defense for the Packers, and sure that wasn't pretty, and Aaron Glenn's for Detroit. The difference, especially in the playoff run for the Packers, guaranteed they still get up 32 points, but they had 2 picks versus Dak Prescott in that first half against Dallas, and Dallas was shut out for the majority of that first half up until the garbage time touchdown before the game went into halftime. So Joe Barry had his moments, and they shut down Dallas, and yeah, shut down San Francisco up until the fourth quarter. Aaron Glenn could do the same thing if they take that playbook
Yeah.
and they, take that same, approach to this 49ers team. The thing is that Detroit's been at home these past 2 games. They're going, to San Francisco.
And that's a tough place to play.
It's a very tough place to play. But the Packers had a lead, and the Packers played a very strong game out in Santa Clara. And I think Detroit's going to do the same thing. What's going to win them this game, Detroit, is their offense. And that was the case last week, and that was the case versus the Rams. They're going to have to really run the ball down the throat of San Francisco. And that's going to be tough with Nick Bosa and Fred Warner and Chase Young
Yeah.
and this really rock-solid D-line. But the Packers were able to shut them down and, again, have leads. Sure, it was, low scoring, but have leads over this San Francisco defense, which is supposed to be the best in football compared
Yeah.
to Baltimore's. What's also going to win them the game is Jared Goff's consistency. And look, Jared Goff is not Aaron Rodgers. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Lamar Jackson. He's not Brock Purdy. But Jared Goff is serviceable in the sense where if you get 2 touchdowns from him, he limits his turnovers. He has a solid game, a very good average game. That's all you need to win football games, regular season or playoffs. And that's been the case these last 2 rounds against the Rams and the Buccaneers. So I think you're going to see a good game from Jared Goff. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to have a touchdown. I think Sam Laporta is going to have a big influence. And they just brought in Zach Ertz, keep in mind, as a second tight end for Goff the target. So if they bring a veteran like that, who, again, not the same player he once was, but if he plays a role for Detroit, maybe he gets involved and he can find a way to burn San Francisco. They're going to win this game with the offense. And you're going to see Jared Goff, I think, in this game especially, throw a bit more and target more receivers like a St.
Feel
Brown,
like you have to against
Josh
this team.
Reynolds.
You have to.
Yes. But again, Jason, what I'm trying to get at here is that you're going to see a focus a lot in the tight end game for both sides because you've got Sam Laporta, rookie tight end, who might be, I mean, he won't be rookie of the year, but I'd say he's up there in the conversation.
Say the Lions caught a huge break that was not a major injury to Sam Laporta at the end of the season. Huge
sure.
break.
And look, the thing is that they caught a big break when they traded away TJ Hawkinson and they got Sam Laporta as his replacement. That was absolutely unbelievable how they pulled that off. And now Hawkinson's in Minnesota, and we all know how bad that's been going. So, really,
actually,
it's been
Hawkinson's recovering too from his ACL tear as well. So it just was another disaster for him. Yeah.
Right. So again, the point is that they're going to win this game in the tight end area. Sam Laporta and now Zach Ertz are going to play a really good factor for Detroit on this offense. For their defense, we all know how good McCaffrey is. But Brock Purdy was all right last week. He wasn't great.
No,
I like Brock Purdy a lot.
no,
And
yeah,
honestly, I want the 49ers to win the Super Bowl. For someone who's a Packers fan who lost to them, but I like Brock Purdy. I like the 49ers a lot. I
that would
really,
be an
really
incredible story if he went and won a Super Bowl after being Mr. Irrelevant in the
right.
draft. Yeah,
Exactly. So Brock has, he's great. Last game wasn't the best, but he was good enough to obviously get you the win.
yeah,
And he led a game-winning drive for McCaffrey to punch in the touchdown. San Francisco is going to have to find a way to really expose this Detroit defense. The thing is, if Detroit falls behind early and San Francisco's rolling with McCaffrey, with Kittle, with Ayuk, with maybe Samuel, depending on his health, um, then that's where you really turn. That's where things could go south for Detroit very quickly.
yeah,
But I think what we'll see, I think we'll see a good game. I think we'll see a close matchup. I think at times you could see San Francisco up by maybe 2 scores, but at the same time, you could see Detroit either pull the comeback and turn things around. But if their defense isn't there, then it's going to be a long night for the
yeah.
Lions. But after all the spiel on both sides of what I'm saying, part of me wants the Lions, seriously, because this would be an awesome story for the league.
Either of these two
At the
teams
same
from the
time,
NFC winning would be a great story.
it would be. And I like Brock Purdy, and I like the 49ers. I think they're the better team, and they're a lot better than Kansas City. To make a pick, and again, I'm really torn between both of them. I really, really am, because I see cases for San Francisco winning, but I see cases for Detroit pulling off the underdog, mentality. I see it. I really, really do. But to make a pick for you, I'm going San Francisco. I'm
Yeah.
going with the 49ers. They're the better team. They're at home. McCaffrey was incredible last week to lead them to a game-winning drive. Brock Purdy was kind of back and forth, but he was good enough to win that game for them. And that pass to George Kittle for the touchdown was really, really awesome. So I think they're going to just pull it out. It's not going to be a convincing, massive win, but I think they're going to win by a good 7 points. I think San Francisco just holds on and just takes care of business against Detroit.
I'm actually going to take an interesting one here. I'm going Detroit. I am
Okay.
going Detroit to the Super
Okay.
Bowl. Look, I feel like we've seen it a couple times with the Niners when they get to the NFC Championship or the Super Bowl. They kind of fall apart a little. They choke. Something happens that goes wrong for them. And I would not be shocked to see it happen to them again. I think the Lions is a little underdog story of bouncing back, getting to the playoffs for the first time in, I believe, what, 32 years it is?
Well. I mean, they made the playoffs. I think I want to say
I
maybe
don't think they've
6 or
won
7
it. I
years
don't think
ago.
they.
That was their first playoff win in 32 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they haven't hosted a game in a long time either. So, um, look, I think this underdog run continues. And I honestly would not be shocked based on script wise if we go back to the week one matchup of Lions Chiefs.
that's what I was going to bring up, and that's why part of me also is kind of sideways on this, because San Francisco is the better team. I can see San Francisco, but based off the script thing I'm talking about, why not have a week one rematch where the Golden Boy has to get his revenge for looking
Man,
so
yeah,
bad in the first week, and as he gets his revenge against a Detroit team making this miracle run, their time is not yet because the Golden Boy has to get his third crown. So we could see Chiefs Lions. I would not be surprised. But at the same time, I think the 49ers are the better team. I'm leaning towards 49ers Chiefs for your segment here. But at the same time, I would not be surprised if we get a week one rematch.
yeah. And look, here's the one thing. You could tell pretty early into a Chiefs game when the calls are going Pat Mahomes' way that it's just not going to go good for whoever they're playing. You could
Yeah.
just tell pretty early into a game. Honestly, by halftime, you could kind of tell that this is not looking good based on bad calls by the refs, them protecting Pat Mahomes, whether it's the slightest little hit that they call or
Yeah.
roughing the passer, whatever. So look, I would like to see Baltimore Lions. Honestly, I'm okay with the Niners. I just got the mentality of anybody but the Chiefs. I'm okay
Right.
with.
Well, look, whoever wins the NFC, I'm going for them. And I mean, again, I don't really care for Baltimore, but I'm not the biggest fan. I'm not too fond of them either. At the same time, I'd rather have Baltimore there with Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, and the Chiefs again, obviously. So, look, I mean, whoever wins the NFC, even as a Packers fan, if the Lions win it, the Lions have been awful so bad.
Yeah,
They've been so bad for so many years. Why not root for them? What the heck?
yeah. If it was the Bears, it would be different for you.
If it was the Bears, I would be up in arms. I would be going crazy.
Yeah.
And if the Bears won the Super Bowl, especially if they somehow got into the playoffs over the Packers this year, you would never hear the end of it from me.
Yes. We're gonna move away for a little bit and just discuss this because we have 7 minutes left. For me, and I think this is a lot of the issue that some people have, and on top of this, it's the golden boy status. I think a lot of people don't like seeing one team completely dominate the league for years.
Well,
And
look,
look, here's the thing,
yeah,
and I will give a guy like Tom Brady, while they dominated the league, they were fun dominating the league. All outside of deflating the ball scandal, stuff like that. They were fun doing it. The Golden State Warriors, when they did it, they were fun doing it. Um, Pat Mahomes, it's not really enjoyable, especially because you know that he's the golden boy now, and I think it just rubs everyone the wrong way.
well, the difference is, especially when it comes to the whole Patriots dynasty, people hated that, sure. But the thing is with the Patriots too, it wasn't, for 20 straight years that they won 20 championships.
Yeah,
They won 6 titles during that time, don't get me wrong, but it was branched out.
yeah,
The difference was that, they won the first one in Super Bowl 36, then they won Super Bowl 38 and 39 back to back. And then 10 years later in Super Bowl 49 is when Brady won his next one. And then, of course, the great comeback in 51 and then 53, really a terrible game, but they still won it because of defense and Julian Edelman.
yeah.
So, look, I mean, again, the difference is that it was sporadic, it was spread out. If the Chiefs are sporadic over a 20-year period like that, then maybe it'll be a little different and hopefully it's not as bad. But if it's every single year that it's Chiefs, 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 Chiefs for the next 10 years somehow, and Mahomes wins 20 Super Bowls, God forbid, then that's absolutely ridiculous. But the difference also is that the Patriots kept their talent consistent. And what I mean by that is that when they either won Super Bowls or lost Super Bowls, Tom Brady
They kept
had
the team.
star players with him. He had Rob Gronkowski. He had Julian Edelman. He had Randy Moss at one point. He had Wes Welker. He had James White with him. He had, some of these other players who really weren't well known. And sure, even James White wasn't really a star. But Tom Brady was able to take guys like James White, Chris Hogan, and Danny Amendola, and some of these other
And
players who
make
were
them
really
look really good.
yeah, exactly. These jobbers, as wrestling folks would say. But he took these guys off the street and made them into talent and turned them into Super Bowl heroes. So that's the difference between Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. The problem
Outside of
with
Kelsey, it's different guys every year.
well that, but also ever since they lost Tyreek Hill, it's been different. Travis Kelsey's that one guy, but Travis Kelsey even has had a really bad year. Again, the thing is that it's not Patrick Mahomes really standing out with some new star receiver. Part of it is some of these guys who they brought in, but at the same time, I mean, you have these players not really meshing well with Mahomes,
Yeah.
and they're not standing out in big ways. Now, sure, they got Pacheco and they got this strong offensive line, but I look at some of these other players. MVS has been a disaster.
Yeah.
Kadarius Toney, don't even mention his name in Kansas City. Rashid Rice has been really intriguing. He's been doing well, but again,
Not
it's
an
not
elite guy.
standing out over time where you have these different players really coming out of nowhere and really doing wonders. It's really just it it's just Mahomes barely getting through. It's Mahomes just getting by. It's him skating by the skin of his teeth and not doing it in really impressive fashion. Tom Brady There were games where sure he came back, but a Tom Brady comeback was such a classic
Yeah,
that you knew it was going to be a different guy every single time, but you
yeah,
also didn't know exactly how it was going to happen or who would
yeah.
exactly get the final
No
ball.
comebacks were like a Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers comeback.
Patrick Mahomes comebacks are just dull. They're boring, honestly. And also,
And it's a
the
lot of ugly
difference,
plays involved in it.
right. And also, Jason, there are times where, like last week, he's ahead and the opposing team botches a play and he just skates by. Tom Brady actually had to come back and win football games. And he either had to come back and win football games or he had to destroy you by 25 points so you had no chance to come back.
Yeah,
Pat Mahomes, it's so ugly that it's such an ugly thing that you don't want to see again. And you're
yeah,
tired of seeing
yeah, yeah,
the same movie again and again and
yeah,
again every single week, especially in the playoffs so far.
yeah. No, 100%. And yeah, though. Look, I think if this continues for a few more years, the disdain for Pat Mahomes from people is going to continue to build outside of Chiefs fans.
Well, look, I mean, again, Brady had somewhat of a similar stain, but Brady was able to make it intriguing in the sense that, like I mentioned before, he won over a period of time. But Tom Brady also, yeah, he was good, but he also didn't take. I mean, he wasn't put in the whole spotlight. He was
Yeah,
there. He was the guy, but he also had Gronk and Jules and Belichick and all these different pieces
yeah,
pieces around him, like he was their henchman basically.
yeah.
But
No,
again, that was the big difference. And also, what's so cool about Brady is that he won the 6 titles, and then the next year he went somewhere else and won the championship.
yeah, no, 100%. We have a minute left though, so we're gonna finish up by saying that this looks like two amazing AFC NFC Championship games. I'd actually say this is two or more of the intriguing AFC
Yeah.
NFC Championship games in a while. It should be fun. Like we said, hopefully Baltimore wins. We'll see. I'm good either way with the NFC game, but it looks like it should be a really fun week and uh crazy with 2 weeks from the Super Bowl, but should be a fun ride for the next few weeks. Thank you guys so much for watching NFC and AFC Championship prediction video, guys. Uh It's crazy that we are 2 weeks from the Super Bowl. Time flies, the NFL season flies by. Let's hope for a great week of football, guys. Again, I said it earlier in the video, but we are sorry that we did not get to post last week. We were having some technical difficulties all around, and then I left for Vegas. And then when I got back, the Texans game had already finished, and they were through the first quarter of the Packers game. So at that point, it just made no sense. So, yeah, we wanted to make sure we'd be back this week. So we got this week, next week. And if you guys are new here, hit that sub. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like. Also, leave a comment what you guys think for the AFC NFC Championship games, who you think is going to win. And even the Super Bowl. Would love to hear that early out predictions for the Super Bowl between these four teams. But thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys in the next one. Peace out, YouTube.